how do you come to see God and the church and the world around you? And how does that fit into your work?
Yeah, we'll start small, right? Some light questions. I started out always being in church. Little beknownst to me, it was a very conservative, white evangelical Baptist church. And so not knowing what that meant at the time and just thinking, hey, this is church. This is what it means to be Christian. What I'm being taught here is what everyone thinks, right? And so looking back, that church, with those conservative beliefs, it was very kind of against science, not having women in leadership, not really wanting to care for the environment, all of these different things. And that didn't, sit well with me because I really loved the outdoors, and my parents would take me to national parks and go camping and things like that. And so there was this disconnect that I was feeling from what I was believing and what I was experiencing and what I'm being told to believe and to think. And that was kind of there for a while, all the way through high school until I went away for college, when I was finally able to kind of check out different churches, houses of worship on my own and see like, oh, this isn't, the only way to do things. There's many, many different kinds of churches out here. There's a whole spectrum of Christianity. But one of the things that was kind of instilled in me was always to like take it very seriously and be very devout, and to go, really deep into my faith and into what I believe. And so I graduated, college with that degree. Wasn't sure what to do. Wasn't being taught anything, from school. So I was like, I'll do some reading myself. And I was really interested in like different theologies. And so I had an environmental science degree, and I said, why don't I read up on eco-theology? What does that mean? What does my faith have to say about caring for this earth? And how do I connect those two things of my science background and my faith? And that started me down the rabbit hole, man. There's all these justice-oriented theologies out there that I had no idea. I was reading up on liberation theology, womanist theology, political theology, queer theology, indigenous theology. And yeah, those all exist. I didn't make any up. But reading all of these different writings and stories coming from people of these, marginalized and oppressed identities, and looking at how do they interpret this faith I grew up with? How much more, are they getting out of it than I was? Because I was very, unquestioning and told what to think. And so what is someone who is in a very different social location than me? How do they interpret this? And so that's when I think things really changed, like my relationship with Creator and church and religion in general. I think growing up, my faith felt like I was looking through a very narrow and cloudy lens. It was a very strict kind of thing. But then, once I'm doing all this reading and listening and learning, that view changed into like this mosaic or like a stained glass window of putting all of these different pieces together and getting a more whole view of who God is. And so now I'm at a much more progressive church, and it feels a lot more whole to me. I don't feel like something is left out.